This week on Boring Gear Reviews, the Benson Stonk Box. Thanks so much to the fine folks at Distro and Benson for sending me the Stonk Box. So this is Benson's second fuzz after the Germanium Fuzz. If you'd like to see a full demo of the Benson Germanium Fuzz, click the link right here. And while this has its roots in the MK1 fuzz, I found it to be that plus a whole lot more. So for controls, we have tone, and this tone control is balanced super well. When you roll it off and you're kind of reducing high end, it doesn't get muddy, it just gets a little more round and warm. And when you roll it up, it doesn't get brittle or shrill, it just gets kind of clearer and a little more sparkly. And also, if the gain is up, it gets a little more thrashy, which I loved. Next, we have volume, which will control the overall output of the pedal while it's on. There's quite a bit of volume in here. And you know me, I tend to really love pushing volume on gain pedals. The filter control will manipulate the bias and gain and even a little bit of the tone, or not the tone, but like the characteristic of the fuzz itself. So this is very interactive with the other controls. And with this, we can add or subtract some of that sort of gating or Velcro aspect too. And lastly, we have trim, which will control the amount of gain or distortion in the pedal. And again, that's very interactive, in particular with the filter control. For today's demo, I'm using my 1992 Orville by Gibson Les Paul Custom, and this has Lawler Imperials for pickups. I have a low wind in the neck and a regular wind in the bridge. And from there, we'll be going into the UAD Apollo X6, and I will be using the Softtube JMP 2203 amp sim. In this first clip, I wanted to show how well the Stonk Box cleans up. It doesn't get like crystal clear, but if you've followed this channel for a while, you know that that's really not what I'm ever interested in. What happens when you roll the volume back on this is that it gets warm and there's just like a bit of grit at the top. It's exactly what you want when you roll the volume back on any sort of distortion pedal, but especially a fuzz. We're gonna have the tone set at noon, the volume maxed, we're gonna put the filter at 3 and the trim at like 930. And we'll be pairing that with the Death by Audio rooms for a very large kind of digital reverb. So what really struck me about this pedal is, yes, it is a circuit based on the MK1, but it doesn't it doesn't feel boxed in or chained to that sound or that mentality. It's like, even though it's vintage voice, it feels very fresh and present, and like the fidelity is super high. The other thing about this, and I'm probably going to say this a lot in this video, is it is very punchy. Some fuzzes, and not better or worse, just different. Some fuzzes are more kind of like washy or staticky. It's that type of wall of sound thing, like less focused and more broad. This is very focused, very punchy, very amp-like. I loved it. So what you'll hear in the beginning, I'm gonna have the volume rolled back. You hear this gorgeous cleaned up tone, and then I'll roll the volume up and I'll dig in a little harder for this, aggressive but not over the top fuzz sound. Loved it. And in the end of the clip, I'm gonna roll the volume back down and play some kind of quieter stuff up high. And again, you'll just see it's very kind of crystally, but it stays punchy. You don't lose any of the impact when you roll the volume back. Really, really cool. All right, in this next clip, we're gonna go a little higher gain. This really surprised me with this pedal. Its high gain setting is very aggressive and really focused. It was awesome. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna roll the tone all the way off. So you'll hear that like it does not get muddy. It just gets a bit darker. We're gonna keep the volume all the way maxed. We're gonna have the filter maxed, and then the trim will be almost maxed. The last, I don't know, eighth of a turn here on the trim, you'll get the really, really cool kind of squashed compression thing. I love that sound. I just wanted to show this instead. So very, very focused, very aggressive sound. I don't know what I was expecting, but I did not expect this to come out of this pedal. This clip will be bookended with a little bit of feedback and single note stuff with the help of the Thermae from Chase Bliss Audio. And the way the high gain and feedback interact with the Thermae, I just really, really loved. It doesn't get out of control or over the top. It stays, again, very focused and musical and usable. And the way the delay picks up the harmonics in the Stonk Box is super, super cool. Okay, in this last clip, we're still going to use, I guess, technically kind of like a mid to high gain setting, but the characteristics will be completely different. So I said before that these controls are pretty interactive, and here's you'll see a good example of that. So we'll have the tone at 2 o'clock, the volume at noon, the filter at 11, and the trim at 2 as well. We're going to pair that with the Chase Bliss Audio Tonal Recall red knob, and this will be providing like a pretty consistent but very dark and murky analog delay under the signal. And that'll be going into the Death by Audio rooms again, and here we're going to have like a very kind of subtle gated reverb. So in the first section of this clip, I'm going to have the volume rolled down, and you'll hear not only it's going to clean up well like we've already done, but as I pick the notes lightly, you'll hear like the initial, not even scrape of the pick, but like the actual impact of the pick on the string. It's awesome. I really, really enjoyed this. Not all fuzzes can do this, or not all distortions can do this. Not all distortion pedals and fuzz pedals can be this kind of dynamic and clear and articulate and really pick up that much subtlety, especially in fuzz. Most time when we're using fuzz, we're not necessarily looking for subtlety, but this manages to give you that, in particular when you roll down the volume. Really exciting. And then as I roll up the volume and dig in, this is like some of that more kind of trashier setting that I love. I don't mean that in a negative term at all. The high end gets really sort of gritty, and I also found that this particular setting was much more focused in the upper mids. So if like you're looking to cut through a mix, which most guitar players are, this is a great, great pedal. And that is a wrap on the Benson Stonk Box. No surprise here, it's fantastic. They are very, very consistent. Well, like I said, while it is based on a vintage fuzz, it really kind of blooms beautifully into modern sound and territory where, like I said, the fidelity is super high, the build quality is outstanding. Like their other fuzz, this is kind of automatically temperature controlled and biased. So when you turn it on, you let it warm up for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you'll kind of hear it as it's supposed to sound. I love the finish and this, hammered enclosure. Their attention to detail and kind of persistence in quality is very apparent, and it's just, it makes it a joy to play. So when you're looking at fuzzes, I would really put this like very prominently on your radar, because this is really like a special pedal. All right, and that's a wrap on the Benson Stonk Box. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I have links for everything I'm using in the description below. And don't forget, we have a giveaway coming once we hit 2,000 subscribers. So as we get closer, I'll announce more, but just know it's awesome. And to that end, if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting subscribe, like, share, and all that stuff. It helps me out. I appreciate it. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Until next time, peace.